All right, grown-ups, it's just our time. I love the babies, but to help you, I gotta speak my mind. This segment's here to help you grow with book reviews, lessons, and things you'll be glad to know. If your little one's restless or looking to play, send them to my other playlist. The read-alouds there will brighten their day. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to the Teacher Lady Show. Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Teacher Lady Speaks. I'm Miss Erica, the Teacher Lady, your fairy godparent when it comes to sharing joyful stories and growing young minds. Now, every single week on the Teacher Lady Show, we have a new topic. And this week's topic is all about self-care. We want our children to be raised and taking care of themselves, their body, their mind, and their soul, okay? We want to find out what feeds them and what does it mean for them to feel good. And of course, we're using picture books to be able to do so. Now, rewinding back to Monday, we kicked things off with 2 Teacher Lady Reads episode. We had It's Okay, being kind to yourself when things feel hard, as well as the classic Tortoise and the Hare, okay? So both of these books emphasize the importance of calming yourself down, having some self-compassion, and ultimately trusting yourself. Now, on this episode, I will be sharing resources and information and insight to help you to raise a child that is more committed to taking care of their self and overall making sure that they are okay. All right. So on Monday, we had those read alouds. On Wednesday, I had a behind the book review for both of those books where I let you know how do you use these books as a resource to have a more robust conversation with your child. And then today it is Happy Friday and we are wrapping it all up with this episode of the Teacher Lady Speaks, a crash course, a professional development, a token of love, and raising children who are more invested in taking care of themselves. You ready? Let's grow. Defining the topic for a child. So self-care are all the things you do to make sure that your body feels well. It's how we love ourselves. It's how we make sure that we are happy and healthy. It means paying attention to what we're doing and how we're feeling. It requires us to check in. And overall, it is our way of telling ourselves that we matter. I would take the approach of gentleness and of calmness and just overall explaining that self-care is so important because it is how we tell ourselves that we love well ourselves. Now, every single week on the Teacher Lady Show, we look at the state curriculum to figure out what is it that your child might be learning on the topic in school, okay? So we compare the state of California and their curriculum as well as the state of Texas and their curriculum to find out, is there anything in the curriculum that my child might be learning when it comes to the topic of self-care? Let's find out. So in California doesn't label a unit as self-care week, but there are some skills that directly support the ideas around self-care. So under the framework of health education, mental, emotional, and social health, in grades 3, children are to evaluate effective strategies to cope with fear, stress, anger, loss, and grief. In grades 7 through 8, children are to demonstrate effective coping mechanisms and strategies for managing stress. And in grades 9 through 12, children should know how to seek help for stress, loss, unrealistic body image desires, and depression. California also has social emotional learning guiding principles that push schools towards whole child development and capacity building. So for me on California side of things, it is looking very flat in regards to self-care and taking care of yourself and making sure that you are taking care of yourself. There just isn't a lot there. Now, in the state of Texas, under the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills Health Education Frameworks, Texas also doesn't have anything explicitly on self-care, but they do have some things under their health education framework. So in grade 5, students are to practice and apply strategies for calming and self-management. In grades 2, Children are to discuss ways to be kind to self and love others. This is under Self-Compassion/Self-Love Foundation under Texas Education Agency. And under elementary, it is included that children are to be able to manage their overwhelming emotions using calming strategies. So for Texas, it's very general. It's like, hey, we want children to be calm and kind of be able to emotionally regulate. But again, there is nothing that explicitly teaches you how to care and take care of yourself, which honestly, I feel like there should be. I feel like there is great importance in understanding yourself and understanding how to take care of yourself, how to figure out and assess your own needs. And yet and still, our schools do not offer that. So of course, we're going to have to supplement. But maybe these resources will help you to be able to do so. So I'm going to share some resources around teaching your child to care for themselves. The first resource is Smiling Mind. It is an app for families. Smiling Mind is a free mindfulness app with sessions built for children and families, including calming techniques, emotional regulation, and sleep support. It works well when you want something structured, but gentle and age appropriate. The next resource is Headspace for Children, which offers guided meditation sessions and counting techniques to calm a child down. And it's really helpful because of the different voices that are offered, as well as just the different techniques to help children to kind of regulate their physical beings. Okay. The next resource I'm going to share is the Calm Kids app. Now, Calm Kids includes sleep stories, meditations, soothing audio, just a bunch of different resources to help calm that baby down, because I think so much of self-care, the value of it is making sure that our bodies are calm and making sure that we can self-regulate. And so this app is definitely a valuable resource to help you to do so. And the next resource I'm going to share is Kids Health. Be mindful to stress less for kids. This is Nemours. Nemours. Now, this Kids Health article explains mindfulness in a way in which children can understand with simple steps that they can try to imitate, and they can do this right away. It's great for families trying to find coping strategies for children who have really big emotional responses and reactions to things. Now, I also found some really cool podcasts that I think help children a lot. The first is the Like You podcast, which is a mindfulness podcast for children that uses breathing, affirmations, imagination, and self-esteem messages. It's especially good for confidence and emotional regulation routines. The next is Be Calm Away Island. Each episode typically starts with a short guided relaxation and then moves into a soothing story with a positive message. So it's perfect for winding down and even calming down in the middle of the day if your child feels overstimulated. The next resource is called Koala Moon, and this is children bedtime stories and meditations. And this is a bedtime focused podcast with calming stories and meditations designed for children to relax and sleep. After a long day, a lot of times our minds are just racing and we need something to help us calm down, which brings me to the last resource I'm going to share for today. Of course, if you want more, you already know, go to my website, scroll to the bottom, give me your email. We should click, we should connect, and I will be sure to send you some extra goodies. But for now, I would love for you to check out the Nothing Much Happens podcast. It's on YouTube. And this is a stories about nothing, but her voice is so calming that you just fall right asleep. It really does help to relax you. Okay, so those are some resources. Now let's jump into best practices, the heart of the show. The first best practice is to realize that self-care for children truly does start with adults. They look at you to see what is okay and what is not okay. So if you are not taking care of yourself, my dear friend, okay, if you have skipped yet another hair appointment, if you do not have time to take a quick nap, if you are constantly running around the house frantic with laundry hanging all over the place, you are showing your child that even though your nervous system needs some attention, even though you need to calm down, you will not stop to cater to yourself. And inevitably, children pick up on that. So the first best practice has nothing to do with your child and everything to do with you, which is to take care of yourself to the best of your ability, okay? Now, the next best practice is to involve your child in their own self-care process. And so we want to encourage our children to build routines and things that are going to help them feel best about their lives. They have to figure that out. They need to understand that under stress, me taking some deep breaths actually does help to calm me. Or meditation actually makes things worse for me and my brain gets to running around. Or if I stand in place and I shake my hands out 50 times, it helps to calm me down. We need children to be aware of their own bodies and to understand what it means for them to take care of their selves. So we're not just going to give them a list of things and say, hey, this is how you take care of yourself. We're really going to encourage them to look at and to analyze the things, the tools that are in their treasure chest to help them, right? We want to encourage children to help themselves, which brings me to my next best practice. A lot of children respond well to either a checklist or some sort of DIY, Velcro kind of scheduler or way to track the things that they're doing to care for themselves. Children want the win. So if they're able to move a little Velcro sticky over, let's say it's a picture of flossing and they've flossed and now they can move that over from to do to done, it makes them feel good. And so as they're coming up with the things that they have to do in order to care for themselves properly, having some sort of visual checklist, visual schedule or planner or something that will show them, hey, you're actively doing it, because that's going to encourage them to keep doing it, okay? The next best practice, which we kind of touched on earlier, but try to find different calming strategies that work for your child. You will find that for some children, loud music calms them, and for some children, that same loud music stresses them out. For some children, extreme movement helps to regulate their system, and for some children, they will get so overstimulated. You truly do have to get to know your child, and you want to encourage your child to get to know their self. The next best practice is to create some sort of reading nook or calm corner. I always do this in my classrooms. It's always good to also have something in your house. Where is it that your child can go physically when they are needing to take care of themselves? Where is it that they can go write or read or breathe or think or create to where they're not going to be disrupted? Because so much of self-care is understanding our own limits and stopping before we get there. There are usually telltale signs, which is my next best practice. What physical signs tell you that you're not doing well? Is your skin turning red? Are you hot to touch? Are you getting jittery and antsy? What is it about your body that is telling you, hey, I need some attention? And you giving yourself that attention is the act of self-care. See, self-care is going to look different for different people because we need different things. For me doing my nails is a form of self-care. For me, making sure that I have extra floss and I have extra toothpaste because I hate running out is a form of self-care. For me, turning off my work phone when I'm watching a movie is a form of self-care. Now that list is going to look very different for Addison and even for Kenny. Their list of self-care is different because their body is different and what they need to feel good about who they are is different. And so really encourage your child to look at their physical telltale signs. How do they know before the blow up? I have worked with children with emotional disabilities for years at this point. And one of the first things I try to get them to figure out is what makes them tick. Because if you can figure out what makes you tick, then when you just tick before you go boom, we can walk you off of that mountain. Right? We can come back down. But so often, if we don't recognize our triggers, we don't recognize what angers us, we don't recognize when we're getting hyped up, we just go into straight being responsive. And that's where the issues come in. So a huge part of self-care is truly studying yourself and encouraging children to study their self as well. Okay. Rest is crucial for any human when it comes to self-care. Making sure that children are getting enough sleep is a great way to get them going in a positive attitude, feeling refreshed for their day. And then the last best practice I would say is to teach children their body telltale signs or signals. How do you know that you're hungry? How do you know that you're exhausted? How do you know that you're anxious? What are those physical things? Kind of how I was saying earlier, like you're hot to touch, but just in every which way, what is it that you need? And you can even create a scale or a system so that they understand, well, how far is it? Maybe I am hungry, but I'm more of like a 3 hungry, not quite a 5 hungry. So I still have a little bit of time, or I'm at a 3 hungry. Let me have a quick snack so that I don't get to a 5 hungry, and just teaching them to listen to their bodies. It's not something we learn in school, as we discovered on this episode, which means that we're going to have to be intentional about making sure that our children are getting the things that they need. When you feel good about yourself, everything in life becomes easier. When you prioritize yourself and your body and your mind, you are able to show up so much more brilliantly for the people around us. But if you keep giving and giving and doing and doing and doing for everyone but you, well, you end up feeling all of that. There's a read aloud of the Giving Tree that I encourage you to go listen to. That read aloud. It's not necessarily connected to this week's topic, but it's definitely relevant, because so much of self-care is making sure that you are good so that you can show up for other people. But it has to start with you. Thank you so much for learning with me, for growing with me, for being part of this book-loving community. Remember that self-care does not have to mean a bunch of money, but a lot of intentionality. If you did not know, I'm also an author and an illustrator of multiple beautiful books that I encourage you to check out, as well as the starter, for lack of better words, of the Empathy Library. The Empathy Library is a pay-it-forward program where we give books to children in need on purpose by way of your generosity, okay? And those books are intentional. Those are books that reflect the children that are receiving them. And so that's what makes the Empathy Library unique. So go on a website, explore, go look at the other episodes from this week. Thank you. And until next time, remember to enjoy the moment or go be a joy in the moment. Bye.